You have discovered the Marry Your Best Friend podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm John. I'm seated next to my beautiful bride of, it's official, 35 years, Suzanne. And, well, one of us needs your vote. We're going to talk this episode about elections and running for office. Why are you shaking your head already? Hold on, I just got to turn on your mic.
I don't need anyone's vote.
You don't need anyone's vote.
I do not.
Well, if you were running for office, I would vote for you. It doesn't matter what it would be for.
Everybody would vote for me.
That is true. So why am I the one running for office?
Because I know how to. If people would just do what I say, life would be so much easier for everyone.
That is true. But we're going to talk about running for office. I have already announced on social media that I am running for school board, which is a nonpartisan election. So that means you don't have an R or a D behind your name, but you are just a member of the community running for office. And Suzanne, you love politics, so we're going to talk about politics.
I hate politics so much.
I know you do. And school board is not supposed to be a political office, but it's become political because
people
of all
have been mean to you.
As soon as I put my profile picture up, I mean, I didn't even say which way I was going. Man, they hit me kind of hard. So we're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about why I'm running for office and why anybody who lives in the HSE school district, so that would be Fall Creek Township or Wayne Township or Delaware Township here in Hamilton County, Indiana. I know a lot of our listeners are not from Indiana. A lot of you guys have been friends of ours for a very long time. Our school board is a local election, so any of my friends who live in those three townships, I'm really going to be friendly with them between now and November. It's like I honestly have been, like in my different little friend groups, like, time out. Does anybody live in the HSE school district? Like my Bible study, and they're like all Carmel guys. I'm like, wait, Morton, what about you? And he goes, no, I live south of 96th Street. I'm like, you guys are worthless to me. So, and then like my men's Bible study at Eastern Star, a couple of the guys don't even live in the district either. So it's like, is it worth me investing in that friendship? They're not going to be able to vote for me. So we're going to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. Because Suzanne, you love politics. You have been wanting me to run for office for so long. And
this is not my heart's desire.
And pushing me.
I will support you. And I think that what platform you have chosen.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
We'll
talk
great.
About things. But you're going to support
our school board and our school system needs it. But I just don't want to be a part of it.
I will tell you. So what's really, really funny here is we're going to talk about politics in a minute. But the very first thing that the people that have encouraged me to run, and we'll get into this in a minute.
Encourage you. They pleaded. They asked
whatever. Yeah,
for years.
I felt like Greg Brady in the old Brady Bunch when he was made a rock star. Remember that?
Oh, that episode was on this morning.
Oh, that episode. It's like he thought it was all because of his musical talent.
Yeah.
And that he was so handsome and it was a rock star kind of a guy. It was only because he fit in the suit. And I feel the same way because I think there's only like 4,000 people who live in Wayne Township, but the heavily populated Fall Creek Township and Delaware Township, they have tons of people. But this is an at-large election. But the problem is you have to live in one of those three townships. So I live in Wayne Township, which is more rural, which it does have a few neighborhoods.
We're kind of no man's land.
Yeah, but we have a few neighborhoods. So the incumbent is a lovely lady. I've met her and went out for coffee with her. And she lives in Deer Path, one of the neighborhoods that's here. And then our friend Patrick Lima, who lives over in Stony Creek, which is like the second neighborhood, he asked me he was the one who submitted my name and put me in there. And then I was recruited by a group out of Fishers. But what's interesting about all this is this Saturday, for those people who live in Fishers. And we actually...
it's going to rain.
This Saturday is the Fishers Spark Festival. And all the candidates get to walk. And I get a note and it says, please come in your campaign shirts with your family and have your family walk with you.
It did not say that.
That's exactly what the email said. We give out candy to all the kids and it said, bring your family. So I proceeded to ask my family, hey, Suzanne, would you walk with me in the parade? And what was your response?
I don't want to walk.
Yeah, Suzanne said, walk? Why do people walk?
It's going to be so hot.
Can't I just hand out candy and not walk? And then Julianne said, well, I've got POTS. So that was her excuse of why she's not going to walk with me. And then Jay Daniels, Saturday is his sacred day when he rests because he works hard all during the week on welding. And his response would typically be,
unplugged day.
Yeah, I'm good, which means I love you, Dad. I support you.
I'm good.
But I'm good.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. And so, needless to
and
say,
you even asked Natalie.
I asked Natalie, who is my lovely daughter-in-law, and everybody loves her because she's so happy. And I said, Natalie, will you wear a campaign shirt that says Jon Stewart on it and walk in the parade? And her response was, well, I have heat issues. Like I sweat. Temperature issues. I sweat. And John Andrews' response, I didn't even ask him, but his response. He's working, but he'll also complain that his feet hurt because he's on his feet all week long. So needless to say, I did order you guys some shirts, but I don't think any of you are going to be at the parade. But anyway, we got a couple things to talk about before we talk about politics.
Why don't you talk about what is around your neck, sir?
Yes. Those of you who are watching on YouTube right now, you notice my medals, my gold medals. Since our last podcast, I am a world record holder.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
For a very big event held in Indianapolis.
So the U.S. Olympic swimming trials were held here in Indianapolis. And I don't have to go into all the details, but yada, 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 I'm a world record holder.
Yada, yada, yada. You were there with all the bazillion people. And
22,209 people watched the largest swim meet audience of all time.
Yeah, and you were there.
They had over 280,000 people that were there. And
who built that pool?
So my friend Mark Dodd. My friend Mark Dodd.
Shout out to Mark.
Mark and Wanda own a company called Dodd Technologies. Andy, their son-in-law, is critical, and all their family's there. I mean, all of their family, grandkid, Tyler, all of them. But Dodd Technologies, Mark Dodd is one of the coolest guys that I think anybody would ever get to know.
Brilliant.
Well, he's a guy that can figure anything out. Mm-hmm. And years ago, when they wanted to, so typically natatoriums, like the largest natatoriums, like 5,000 people. And years ago, they built an outdoor pool. And then they wanted to take it indoors. And the first indoor kind of stadium, it wasn't a stadium takeover, but it was an arena takeover. He built the pools in Omaha where they had the swimming trials.
Oh.
And so they had it 4 years ago and 8 years ago. Yeah, he's been doing it for years. But they sold out as soon as the tickets came out. And the capacity was only 15,000 or so, 14,000.
In India, I think it was 9,000. Swimming is huge here.
Swimming is huge here.
You wouldn't think it would be, but it's
and out of the
huge.
50. Well, what's amazing about the swimming trials is you have over 1,000 athletes competing for 52 spots. So that's how many spots there are. And they had a number of people from Indy. Carmel, where I grew up, had won the state championship a record 34 times in a row for the girls swimming. A lot of great swimmers. But at the end of the day, Mark Dodd, they wanted to bring it to a stadium. He had the vision to bring it to a stadium and to take the two pools and build them. There's one Olympic-sized pool and then one pool that's actually bigger for the warm-up. And if you haven't seen pictures of it, it's absolutely incredible. So.
It's really cool to see how.
So that's why I'm wearing all these gold medals.
They did. I mean, in a football stadium, that they would make that into.
Yeah, they had over 200,000 people go there over the course of the deal.
Really
and it was huge for Indianapolis. And I will tell you, I mean, Indianapolis has an incredible sports authority, but the Indianapolis vendor community, like Mark is the guy who can build all the truss and all the LED boards and all the staging and the platforms, and he was the one who did the elevator lifts. So after the people win and they're announced to be members of the Olympic team, they get lifted up on this elevator lift on the floor.
Really?
It's incredible. But the scoreboard alone was 40,000 pounds lifted above the pool. And the little things you notice, I mean, they have certain flags that they drop down for only for one event, the backstroke. And those flags get dropped at each end of the pool at a certain distance, so those who are doing backstroke know right when to do their turn.
Oh.
Well, that has to be within a quarter of an inch of where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, everything's so precise.
It's so precise. But Mark had to hang those flags 3 weeks before they ever built the pool because those flags are above the pool. So he flew everything, like the scoreboard and all the stuff off the floor. Then they built the pools. So, I mean, that's how exact it is. And it took them 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it was, to build the pools. Originally, you can't do that in a basketball stadium or a football or a hockey stadium because they're still playing in their playoff games. But football was kind of dead, so they took over the stadium. Took them 4 or 5 weeks to build the whole thing. He has 8 days. Right now, they're tearing that pool down, tearing all the staging down, all the LED boards.
Did somebody else take that? Because I thought...
So the two pools went to different areas, yeah. So the Olympic pool went to Fort Wayne, or is going to Fort Wayne, and then the other one is being packed up for the national pool down.
What are they going to... Who's using it in Fort Wayne?
I'm sure some swim club or something. I don't know. But, and the other one's going to Grand Cayman is their National Training Center pool.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, a big event. I mean, obviously we have the Indianapolis 500 here each year, but the vendor community, which Mark is part of, and there's another company that actually built the filtration systems on the pool stuff. But this is the same group that does like whenever the Super Bowl comes to town or whenever they host big events. There's a big event vendor community here in Indy. And the thing that makes us different than all the other cities like Dallas or Atlanta, a lot of these other places, Mark was telling me that when they had the Super Bowl committee, because remember our Super Bowl that was here was the year after Dallas had theirs.
Right. Oh, and that ice storm.
Yeah, and the ice storm hit them and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that makes Indianapolis different is the thousands and thousands of volunteers that show up. It's such a Midwestern thing to serve.
They even had an episode like that on the middle one, during
they all sign up.
Because the Midwest is just a friendly place.
Yeah,
I mean,
like Dallas, when they hosted the Super Bowl, they had a hard time getting
up.
volunteers. Like they're trying to get volunteers.
People stand in line
Here we
to
have
volunteer.
too many people to volunteer. And they all get a shirt, they all get hats, they all get different things.
And they just want to be friendly.
And they do a great job. The sports corp recruits great people. They give them a great experience. Our friend Megan Fleck, who lives around the block up here, she was in the copy room where she's like she was a high school college swimmer herself. And so she went down and volunteered for the swim trials, and they have her running like the copy and print center for all the press and all that kind of stuff. And it was just neat. The person who gave me these medals, it's not everybody won these medals.
Not everybody.
No, but
not everybody that went to the stadium got a medal.
No,
so
Mark
special.
hosted me up in the quarterback club, which is where all the USA Olympic officials were. Super and the special. USA swimming people were. I just went because there was free food. Had a great dinner that night. But we went up there, and Tina Burks, who I've known for at least 20 years in IndyCar racing, she used to work with Delphi and a whole bunch of other folks. But she's kind of a sweet host extraordinaire, and it didn't surprise me at all when I walked into the quarterback club with all the VIPs that there's Tina being the host. And she's the one that.
Did you know she was going to be there?
No, but but Midwest typical. It would be that Tina would volunteer for 2 weeks to be a host, and they put her in the place where she is really good, which is VIP hosting.
And this was such a great place to have it because we have so many swimmers and swim clubs and kids that are involved in swimming. They got to go and see some of their, idols, some of the people that they really admire and want to be like. And that's so neat because they wouldn't have that opportunity just anywhere, Are you struggling?
No. I'm taking my medals off so that they don't distract
struggling?
you. Well, because I don't want them to distract you. Because I am kind of like the Michael Phelps of our relationship. Yeah, they are glaring
at me, all that gold, I know.
And I know you'll be jealous. But the other thing we have to talk about is our 35th anniversary. Since our last podcast, we have now actually been married for 35 years.
I know, that's crazy.
And we've been together for a couple more than that because we were best friends for a number of years.
39 years.
We've been in each other's life.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually start dating until I made the phone call to you and told you that you were the one.
We already had that discussion.
I know, but that was only 36 years ago or so, because that would have been the summer of 88 that I would have proclaimed my love to you.
We have only been legally bound for 35.
Yeah, but I mean, I was dating somebody 36 years ago, and so were you up until I called and professed my love.
I think it's been 30. No, it was before that.
No, because it was a year. I told you a year ahead of time. It was May.
Yeah, but we were together a year
until we got married.
Springfield until we got married. Yeah.
No, I professed my love to you in May.
No. I was.
We were engaged on July the 3rd.
I was a junior.
We were engaged July the 3rd.
I was a junior, and I
moved to Springfield in August. You're missing this whole thing.
But it's a whole year different.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Your senior year, going June or July the 3rd, going into your senior year of college is when I proposed to you and you said yes.
Yes, but that whole chit-chat was before that.
But it started in May. My phone call to you happened like January.
Yeah, right.
You avoiding me happened from January through May. We reconnected in May.
At Steve Thompson's wedding.
Yes, and then on July the 2nd, you agreed to kind of pursue a relationship with me. I proposed the very next day, July the 3rd, and we were fully in love and engaged on July the 3rd.
In love.
I moved to Springfield in like August or September, October timeframe. Mm-hmm. Had to be September, October timeframe. And then we got married the following June. So we've been married for 35 years. We were in love, and we've been in love for 36 years. But I was playing the field before that. So were you. So anyway, We had a big anniversary trip. Originally, this was going to be. I was really excited about taking you to Napa. You've never been to Napa before. I had to work last weekend in Monterey, California.
Yes.
And so for a race, it was an awesome race. Christian did okay. Renus had a gear issue and finished back at the back, but still a beautiful place to race. And the team continues to improve.
Track.
But since I was already going to be in California, I thought, wouldn't it be great if you just flew out with me and we went to Napa?
Wouldn't it have been?
Because I love Napa.
Great.
I used to work a bunch up there back at the old raceway in Sonoma.
I know. I loved it when you worked up there because then you would bring home treats.
I would bring home treats. And you've never been to Napa.
I know. It's just someplace I've never
And every time I go to
been.
Napa, I always look at the men who are with their wives, and I just feel sorry for them.
You feel sorry for the men?
Absolutely. Because
Why?
have you ever
would
seen?
love it.
Oh God, have you ever?
But you would like it.
Okay,
So why
I like
do you
it.
feel sorry
But
for
I'm
them?
saying though, have you ever been to like a dress shop and they've got that man chair there where the man's supposed to just sit while his wife tries on dresses?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a shoe shop when a guy's just sitting there while the woman's trying on shoes. Imagine a weekend of that where the woman is just trying wine after wine and the dude is just along for the sex. That's the only reason. That is the only reason why men go to Napa. Is they know the wife's going to have some wine and they're going to score.
I think men like wine.
I like wine
and
too.
they like
but
beautiful country.
I like wine, but you're
nice
spending
dinners.
thousands of dollars to stay in a hotel. You're if you're smart, you're getting a limo to drive you around so you can drink all you want. And when you walk into these,
So you would not have enjoyed it.
I would have enjoyed the sex.
Had you taken me to Napa, you would have been the man in the waiting chair.
I would have looked at all the other men and just kind of given them a wink, like I know what we're doing. We're only here because
We
we're getting
understand
some.
the assignment.
No, and like when I've been to a vineyard, and I've been to Napa, I've been to Stellenbosch north of Cape Town, which is a wonderful vineyard area. All the sales guys, like every sales guy, I think should retire and become a wine salesman, because they give you your little glass of wine. And then they'll give you like a little cracker or something like that. And they're really good salesmen right when you're smelling it. Now smell that, doesn't it? Oh, don't you smell that? Now imagine a nice T-bone steak, or imagine a New York strip with just perfectly medium
that sounds
rare.
delicious.
And then you put a little bit of this blue cheese crumble on top of it as it melts. Now swish the wine and you taste it, and it's like the best thing you have ever had in your life. And right then they go, "Would you like a case of that to go with that?" And you're like, yes, I want a case of that wine. And it's so good.
$10,000 later.
Well, by the end of the day, you've had at least a box sent to your house. You've signed up for at least one wine club where they're going to send you wine every month. And then like sometimes you get like a special bottle of wine. Like I remember one time I bought a really special bottle of wine and I never let us drink it.
No, it was horrible. And then when we finally did open it, it was all like the cork was all disintegrated and it tasted nasty.
We moved it like 3 times. 'Cause every time we had like a high moment in our life, I was like, wait, should we go open the bottle of wine? No, I think we're going to save it. Let's save it. And then it was ruined.
It was ruined.
Yeah, so we just open it now, don't we?
I don't know. We've got one good bottle in there that you're saving.
You love wine, though. I'm a red guy.
I'm not a red girl.
No.
It hurts my head.
We had a neighbor down the street one time that said that she wanted to learn how to drink wine. Remember that? She said, "Suzanne, I need you to teach me how to drink wine." And Suzanne said, "Okay, I'll teach you everything I know about wine."
I don't know a lot about it. I just know what tastes good.
And then she goes, "Because my friend Angie down the street, she drinks a whole box at a time." So...
She's a little bit of a redneck that somebody had given money to.
Just a little bit. But anyway, so we were supposed to go to Napa. We didn't go to Napa because of an incredible family opportunity. One of your cousins, who I always call her my niece, but she's not really my niece. She's your cousin, but she calls me uncle.
She's closer to you than she is to me.
I love her to pieces.
I know. I love her too.
But if you like a prodigal story, this was a wedding. So it was her 3rd wedding. And it was his 2nd or 3rd, something like that, maybe 4th. I don't know. He'd been married before.
I don't think. They've both been married previously.
Yeah, they've both been married previously.
And they both had kids. Struggled with various things, addiction and just.
But they reconnected. It was an incredible prodigal story, and it's one of those things that, like, when the prodigal son came home, the father killed the fatted calf and celebrated and
brought the finest
whole family,
clothes
brought the finest clothes and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's what happened in your cousin's life and in her now husband's life. Both of them had these prodigal experiences. Both of them have come back and are on fire for God. And
it was beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful when you see redemption, when you see grace, when you see love and forgiveness and acceptance, and you see parents who would have probably been skeptical in any other ways, and sisters would have been skeptical, other people, friends, but everybody fell and were like, realized, no, this is good. And the father immediately killed the fatted calf. And they planned that wedding quick. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And we had to be there. So our anniversary.
It was very small. And
we were honored to be invited. But what was amazing to me was
beautiful.
After 35 years of being married, we would have gone to Napa, would have had a wonderful planned kind of vacation.
Well,
but
apparently I would have had a wonderful time. You would have just
no. Remember what I
sat
said.
in the man chair.
Remember what I said. The man is there for. I would have had a wonderful time too. But what I was going to say is, because of your cousin getting married, it afforded us the opportunity to kind of create something different than what we planned, and so we did a road trip.
Yes, you planned a fantastic little drive down memory lane. And I would
encourage you. It was awesome. I mean, I know that we live together. We do. And I know that we...
Do we?
We do.
Once in a while.
We talk together.
Not too often.
This 1 hour every 3 or 4 weeks whenever we do our podcast. But to actually be in a car with you for 4 days, we did over 2,000 miles in like 4 days. And
you know what? I got to say
awesome.
this. If you are in a car with John Stewart and you are... going anywhere, if you are going to church, if you are going to eat, if you are on a 2,000-mile car trip, the man is on his phone. He is on his phone. He is working. That's just what he does. You didn't do that.
Okay, good. I thought I was starting to sweat here, thinking I was going to have to apologize.
You had maybe 2 or 3 phone calls that were
just normal.
But you did not work in the car, which I really noticed.
It was our anniversary trip, and I was excited. We left.
But I've never known you, no matter what it is, family vacation, anything.
I thought when you said on the way to church that you were going to say he's always playing uplifting music and praising and praying.
No, you were on the phone.
On the way to church on Sundays, I'm not on the phone. Anyway.
You will take the call.
Okay, so for those people who are playing along at home... I don't think Suzanne's right here. But anyway, I was intentional about trying to be present.
What did we say about me running? I'm always right.
You are.
And if people would just do what I say.
That's right. You've got my vote. So we did a road trip. We went to Springfield, Missouri, where you went to college.
Yeah.
And had a blast. Man, what a great time. Going to your dorm room.
It was really fun.
I used to kiss you goodnight in front of that dorm room. We went by the apartment. My first apartment.
And I didn't know all this was taking place. It was kind of happening Did
I tell you where we were going, or did I say load up the car?
No, you said we're going to stop in Springfield, but I just figured that it was like halfway.
Yeah. So you knew we were going to Springfield. So we went to Springfield, which is where your college was.
I didn't know we were doing all that.
Like I mentioned earlier, her senior year of college, I was living in California. I wanted her to finish school out in California. You were going to lose too many credits by transferring. So your father was like, why don't you stay in Springfield?
I was so close to being done, and all I had was student teaching.
Yeah, and I had like 2 phone bills. This is before cell phones were cheap like they are now, and long distance calling. I had like an $800 phone bill while we were engaged.
We didn't have cell phones back then.
No. So I had to call you all the time, and so my dad just said, "You need to move
car
to
phone." That was what
we had not moved. We had not moved to, or I had not. We had not lived in the same town, even though we were engaged. So that year, I moved to Springfield, Missouri. While I was driving from Los Angeles to Springfield, like the first or second week of your senior year at college, you went and picked out an apartment for me. And
I did.
Picked out an apartment.
I'd never picked out anywhere to live.
Well, you found an apartment.
I went from my parents' home to the dorm.
And I'm telling you, I was loaded. You had like $300 a month that you had to find an apartment. And you found me the most lovely apartment that was next to the highway.
You did
that was
complain about
adjacent to a smoker, a chain smoker. Remember how bad the apartment smelled?
Yes, it did.
And
I forgot about that.
I was right next to the highway, but it was close enough to your school that we could make out. What was your curfew? Like 1 o'clock in the morning?
It was
or midnight or something.
1 during the week and 2
whatever
on the
it was.
weekends.
Really? It was
or
that
12?
Late? I think
Maybe
it was 12 and 1.
12 and 1.
Either way, it was close enough.
It was too late for us to be doing anything in Springfield. There was nothing to do.
We could be doing something until about 5 minutes, and then we'd rush you back over to your school. And I would kiss you
I didn't
goodnight.
have a lot of choice. I mean, like you said, you had
a very slim budget.
Very slim budget. And so I just had to pick what was not disgusting and what fit your budget.
Needless to say, right around the corner from my apartment was the entrepreneur that had the tanning bed / mini storage unit / tax service or something.
It's like you could one-stop shopping, man, in Springfield.
No, but it was great. We went to Springfield. We saw your favorite professor, David Smith. David and Susan were wonderful professors at Evangel. He's retired. He was your theater teacher. I've always loved David. They drove to our wedding 35 years ago.
They did, which was crazy.
And
Surprised
then
us.
Springfield, Missouri is known for the cashew chicken. So we went to Hong Kong Inn. We got sweet and sour chicken and cashew chicken. Went to their house and just egg rolled it up.
Yeah, it was
had a
super
great time.
fun.
And then we left their house. They wanted us to stay. We would have loved to have stayed, but we wanted to get to Tulsa. So we went and spent the night in Tulsa. The next morning, got to go to my university. You really don't have any memories of Oral Roberts while I was there, but I remember calling you all the time, and that's where I did theater, and you did theater at Evangel. So we went by ORU because that was important to me when we were kind of together. And then from there, we went down to the church where we got married, Bethesda Community Church, and that was awesome. We got to kiss in the parking lot.
It was all, well, somebody was having some kind of party,
they were having an
but there was
anniversary
nothing
party.
going on, so the sanctuary was all
But we
closed
snuck
and dark.
in.
And
We snuck in.
Yeah.
The lights were all off, and we got to pray on the platform together right where we got married. Got to kiss. Got to reminisce about the rust-colored carpet that the church used to have.
Yeah.
And Des Evans, who married us, I still say that probably the highlight of our wedding was the rehearsal dinner the night before. We had a beautiful rehearsal dinner the night before. All of our family was there, and we did an African.
No, it wasn't African.
Yes, my sister-in-law, Katrine, her
I know,
mother,
but I
Ingrid
never thought it
Trobish.
was
Ingrid and Walter were the first missionaries to go into like Cameroon.
Okay.
After World War II, they were missionaries in
someplace
Cameroon. And I remember this from when my brother got married in 1976. Ingrid did this representation of the scripture of the two shall become one, and it was like an African wedding thing that she did. But your mother held one end of the rope, and my mother held one end of the rope, and you and I both had the ropes tied to our mothers. And then we came together, and then they wrapped us around each other. And then Ingrid whips out a pair of scissors and has your mom and my mom cut the ties between us and them. My mother, it didn't take her a split second. I mean, she was already like cutting it, like she's done with me because I was the last of three kids.
You were the last, yeah.
Your mother cried when she had to cut that tie. And it was just a very visual example of the two shall become tied in one flesh. And the parents have to cut that tie to their child. And I remember that night. And then after everybody left, we had a great rehearsal dinner, and people gave toast, and we showed those videos of our upbringing. So, I forgot, somebody made those videos of us.
My mom and I did it.
Yeah, you had pictures of us growing up.
Yep.
And do you remember the song that was played for your photos?
It was Gary Mack's song.
Gary McSpadden, yep. And then you played Mac Davis for me.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, it's too hard to be or so hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. But those old photo shows, and that was great. And then everybody left, and it was just you and I and our parents and Des and his wife.
No,
Mary.
our parents even went home. It was just us.
No. They were standing right in front of the baptismal. We went there and got baptized. You went in the women's baptistry. I went in the men's with Des. And then, your mom and dad and my mom and dad were at the glass. That was what was so special about it. So he baptized us the night before we got married.
I must be getting really old because there are a couple things I forgot.
Oh, I'm still in my 40s. But one of the things that was yes, getting married was a very special day. But the night before when we got baptized, I wanted to make sure that we were kind of baptized and broke free of all the lineage of things that our parents had done and multiple generations of sin and, just all these different things. But we had an incredible moment. I think more special than the actual wedding was that being baptized together with Des. And then, I don't think I've shared this on the podcast before. You and I laughed about it that night, that Des Evans was this amazing pastor, preacher, teacher, and
theologist.
Theologist.
I mean,
he was a rock, and he was Welsh, and he has this very specific accent. He always called you Susan. Susan. He never said Suzanne. Susie. And he stood in front of me, and he looked at me after we had been baptized, and he was basically saying how special you were to him. He says, Susie is part of our family, to Mary and myself, and to the church. You have a family that loves her and loves you. And he was saying, if you ever need anything, if you ever need help financially, spiritually, anything, we're here for you. And it was the most sweet, loving, pastoral moment. And if he wasn't standing there naked in front of me, I probably would have received it even better. Because literally, the man has no inhibitions. This most learned theologian that I love was standing there buck naked.
That was not.
Towel by his side, telling me how much he loved you and I.
I know.
Very special. And then we got married. And then so that night, Saturday night after the wedding, we went back to the hotel where we had our original honeymoon night.
We did.
And that was awesome.
It was.
And we have not
really
been.
great
We
'cause
haven't been back to that
there
hotel.
since.
Yeah, 35 years. And they gave us the corner suite like we had when we got married, and it was just so many memories of that night of us being.
And we laughed about just stuff, everything.
Just everything.
Just
But
being
35-year celebration. And then what was fun was the next day, we didn't go to church on Sunday. I watched it online with you. Actually, we watched about 5 churches that day.
You watched about 5 churches.
Yeah. But we set out Sunday morning to go to Nashville. So when we got married in 1989, we went to Hawaii for a vacation, came back, returned some of the wedding gifts to get some, like we had
nothing.
We had so many great wedding gifts, but we had like 36 candlesticks. So we returned half of them and different things. So we bought a sofa. So as we moved, we moved from Nashville, from Dallas to Nashville,
furniture,
I rented a U-Haul van, and you and I loaded up with our dog and our new sofa and all of our candlesticks, and we headed to Nashville to the apartment.
Everything we owned in the whole world was in that van.
To the apartment that I picked out that you had not seen.
Right.
And we went to Nashville. So that Sunday morning, our anniversary trip was just awesome because we loaded up the van, or it was my truck, and we drove all the way to Nashville, the same route, and just talked the whole time about what it was like when we first got married. And then we moved there, and then we checked into the hotel, and we did kind of a drive past our old apartment. We went to our old apartment, and then looked at the little area we were, and then went to Christchurch, and you knew something was up.
I did, because, 35 years.
Yeah, you knew me. Well, and Rhonda Hardwick was at the door, and she opened the door and welcomed you in. And lo and behold, you had all your friends that were there.
Yeah, my special friends.
All your special friends. People who loved us when we first got married, and people who loved us through a lot of my shenanigans and first job, second job, third job, fourth job.
First baby.
Just people who loved on us.
First jobs. Yeah. I mean, when we moved there, we didn't have jobs.
No. Well, you still had 2 years. You had two credits you had to finish.
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't go into the classroom straight away. But, I did go into childcare and then go finish my class. But I mean, still.
No, but even that, you went to work at KinderCare while you were finishing your 2 classes. You had to take 2 classes at David Lipscomb that transferred back to Evangel. Evangel let you walk without 2 credits.
Because they were like, one was a no credit math class, or it was just a pass-fail thing that was just like something that you had to take as an education major. And then the other one was like 1 semester of Spanish.
Yeah, so you had to take 2 more classes,
stupid.
And you did that at David Lipscomb University. And during that period of time, you taught at
KinderCare. So I'd go to KinderCare in the morning, and then I'd leave and go to school, and then I'd come back at KinderCare and close.
And the great thing was, even at our party, your very first baby that was there, the very first day that you joined KinderCare, little Courtney, redheaded little Courtney, her parents, Gary and Debbie Schaefer, they became some of our initial friends in Nashville. We just loved them to pieces and still do to this day. They came to the party. So it was just like saying, oh my gosh, like this was 35 years of fun. Yeah. And then we had a great night that night, just with our friends and everything. And then we came home. The next morning we had...
which was our actual anniversary.
We got to see Lily and Nathan, her husband. They're on YWAM staff down there. Lily's a friend of ours from here in Indiana. But even that was a gift, because here are 2 people that got married, don't have any money, and moved to Nashville.
Just like we did. Same age.
And it was like a gift just to look at them, because when we first got married, now, those of you who are watching the video or know us, you may not understand this, but when we were first married, we were skinny.
We were skinny. Our nicknames were Ken and Barbie.
They said, oh, look at Ken and Barbie coming. And we looked at Nate. We looked at Nate and Lily, and the 2 of us just kind of chuckled, because we said, there's Ken and Barbie. And 35 years
they're so young and sweet.
And just like us, they're meeting their people. They're meeting their people. They're building their church. They're getting to know all their friends. And just, it was awesome to see them. And then before leaving town, we got to go to our favorite restaurant in Nashville, Ladybird Taco.
Ooh, shout out for Ladybird.
Yes, Gabe and Keely.
If you're ever in Nashville.
Awesome. Or in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
The best tacos. We had great tacos.
Best
and your
taco you'll ever have in your life.
You have ever had. Steve Durham, your principal at Radnor Baptist Academy.
We've been friends a long time.
He's been pastoring for 20-some years, and he's about to retire. Long time. You and Steve were quite the pair.
Yeah, and we've shared a lot.
You've shared a lot.
A lot.
When I was thrown in jail, Steve just shook his head
and helped me bail you out.
when I got in trouble or when I got jobs, and he's loved us through everything. So just awesome people. So great anniversary trip. Hey, happy anniversary. I love you.
Happy anniversary,
It was an awesome road trip. Thanks for bearing with me for over 2,000 miles.
Well, thanks for planning such a wonderful
And And if you're married,
down memory lane.
Do this. Go on a memory trip. We had a blast. We stayed where we used to stay.
You don't have to like spend a ton of money. I mean, it was so nice. We just did what we wanted to do, things that were special to us.
Then.
Yeah. It didn't have to be some fancy restaurant or whatever. It was all sentimental. But that's what happens when two theater people get married. You got one English teacher and a theater person. Everything is very sentimental and
had a great time.
Means a lot. But it was awesome.
It was a fun road trip. And I mean, I really, really enjoyed our time together. I thought it was a really special anniversary. And we are going to go to Hawaii at some point later this year. I've got reservations in like September where we actually met and kind of celebrate that
but
together.
That's some place that we go. But this was really
well,
special.
on our 30th anniversary, we did a How I Met Your Mother tour.
Our kids loved that.
Yeah, I call it the eye roll tour because our kids rolled their eyes every time we go, oh, this is where we met, or this is where we had our first kiss, or this is where we did this, or anything of that nature.
But now that we have a married kid who is, married to somebody who wants to celebrate every little anniversary of whatever, this is the anniversary of our first kiss. This is the anniversary of our first phone call. This is when you texted me for the first time. I think there's a little less eye rolling from that particular child.
Yeah, it's still fun though. Anyway, so this episode is on I Need Your Vote. One of us needs your vote, and it's me. It's me. If you live in the Hamilton Southeastern School District, you do not need to live in Wayne Township. You need to live in the Hamilton Southeastern School District. I need your vote.
And you have to be registered to vote.
Yes.
Unlike...
Oh, by the way, so yeah, in order to register to vote, in order to register for the school board, you have to get signatures, like 10 signatures of people who say you're good. And I went ahead and got 20 just in case somebody on the list wasn't actually registered to vote. And you signed it. Jay Daniel signed it. Julianne signed it. We had friends. And I go to turn everything in, and the lady looks at me and she goes, this individual, Julianne Stewart, is not registered to vote. So
I couldn't remember if she was or wasn't. I knew she had, but it expired. I don't know how.
Yeah, but this takes place during the general election. So for people who don't live here, let me give you a little background real quick. Hamilton Southeastern School District is the largest employer in Fishers, Indiana. Has over 2,500 employees and teachers and things of that nature. We have almost 22,000 students. I think this year, once all the enrollment's done, it'll probably be around 22,000. They had 21,500 or something like that.
It's huge.
It's a very large school district.
It's not as big as Carmel, though, right?
No, but Carmel only has one high school. We have 2 high schools. We have 4 junior highs that feed into it, like 10.
Yeah, but how many people how many kids are in Carmel High School?
I don't know. That's not the district I'm running for. That's the district I graduated from.
I'm just trying to compare.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'd ever run for Carmel. What's interesting is
I wouldn't run for Carmel.
When I first was asked by Patrick, said, would you consider running for school board? I told him, I was first asked over 10 years ago. One of our dear friends, Sylvia Shepler, she served on the school board for 20 years and was just the ultimate community-involved mom and grandmother to be on the board. And I guess she's considered Republican. Yeah, she would consider herself Republican. But you don't think about that. Sylvia was just on the school board. She just served. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Well, she just
wanted what was best for her.
For
her
our
grandkids.
Township, for our township and for the kids. And she did it for all the right reasons. And what's funny is she ran in an era when you put up a couple of signs and people knew who you were and they voted for you. Election business is big business now. And what's interesting to me
even for something this small.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm not telling you my
I was
budget.
listening to that lady you were talking to on the phone the other day.
That lady, okay. Go ahead. I'm not going to mention who she is.
No, I'm just saying that person. And she was telling you about, the signs and the shirts and the flyers. And then they give you a list. And I was like, are you kidding me?
No.
Okay,
so
this is
so let's back up. Let's back up real quick. So
Sylvia
was on the school board for 16 years. She came to me. She said, "John, I think you should run for school board." And I was working for the Boy Scouts at the time, commuting a bunch. I said, "Sylvia, I just don't have time. I'm out of town. I'm not controlling my own schedule. I can't be there every other Wednesday."
I mean, you really didn't need anything else on your plate.
And instead, I encouraged her. I said, "Sylvia, 16 years, one more term, and you've done it for 20 years. And so she ran for office another time. She ran for 20 years. Well, then another 4 years later, she came and said, "John, I think you need to run for school board."
I don't even know how long the term is. The term is for 4 years.
It's for 4 years. Yeah. And so she came to me, and and she said, "How would you like to run for school board?" And I said, "Sylvia, if you don't find anybody else to run for Wayne Township, I'll run." So it was one of those, go find somebody else, but if you can't find anybody else, I'll run.
She wasn't the one that initially called you, though.
That was years ago.
Time.
No.
Yeah.
So what's funny is, Sylvia found somebody, Ron, who lives over in Prairie Baptist, awesome guy. Ron, he's raising livestock. We bought turkeys from him and different things of that nature. He's raising Hoosier Heritage Farm.
Yeah,
that's Ron. He follows the Joel Salatin polyface kind of method of raising rotational.
Oh yeah, we did 4-H with him forever.
Yeah.
With his
awesome
kids and
people.
his wife. Yeah,
he's awesome. He ran for office. Well, the problem was he ran for office, and Fishers One, which is this conservative group that I'll talk about in a minute. They also
really going
ran.
to talk about all this.
We'll go into a little bit of it, but there were two conservative candidates that were in Wayne Township running for office. And what happened was all the conservatives, because in our township, in our area, there are more conservatives here than there are progressives. There are more Republicans than Democrats. And Ron and Tiffany are both conservative Republicans. And the person who won is my opponent, the incumbent. Her name is Sarah Parks Reese, and Sarah won the election. So. She won. Well, then, and I'm glad I didn't run that time because the school board got so political in the past 4 years. I mean, it became over the book banning from the libraries, from parental access, from DEI, SEL, all these different things. And the superintendent that was hired, they ended up firing her and bringing in a new superintendent. All this has happened, and I'm really glad I wasn't on the board then. But I got asked this time to run for the board, and anybody who knows me knows that I am a pretty conservative candidate. But people who don't know me, the problem is the people who are conservative and look at how I am and my voting beliefs and things of that nature. They go, "Oh, he's just like us." But I think I surprise them because they don't realize how open-minded I am and how inclusive I want to be with everybody else. Like I like having diverse friends. I like hearing diverse viewpoints. You've commented on it for years on Facebook because I was like, I went to grad school for sustainability in San Francisco, so I have a very environmentally friendly, conscious impact group.
Hippie.
Wonderful. No. Just people who care.
That's what the kids call it.
I know, people who are committed to social impact. And then I have on the other end of the spectrum some very, very conservative, right wing, Trump loyalists, evangelical Christians. And sometimes those people will talk to each other on my page. And I'm always in the middle. I like to hear both sides, but I pretty much stick to my guns. So anyway, I was asked to run. I'm running, and already you mentioned as soon as I put my little Facebook page up, I got attacked. And somebody said, "How do you feel about this? And how do you feel about this? And guns in school and all these things." And so I started telling them how I felt. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the person I'm running against, the incumbent, she has a lot of followers, and she's honestly, I asked her for a cup of coffee, and she came and joined me with another board member for a cup of coffee. Lovely lady. She is an educator. She's a professional educator. She has a graduate degree in education. I just personally think that
here's my deal.
I have more to offer.
There are kids that need so much more than what is offered for them right now. Mm-hmm. That there's not a lot of people advocating for the kids outside of college track kids,
correct,
outside of sporty kids. And if you can bring that...
Well, first off, Hamilton Southeastern is, you mentioned Carmel, where I went to school. When I went to Carmel High School, everybody went to college. And I remember the handful of people that did not go to college that went in the military. So Brian Wignall went in the military.
Right.
Kozlowski, a handful of guys went to the military instead of college. And I remember our mindset at that point in time was, oh, I guess they can't afford college. Or, oh, I guess they didn't get into college. Going in the military was not a respected decision of a high school senior. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, those guys are the smartest people out there because they got GI Bills to help pay for college. My dad always believed that every single person in America should go in the military for 2 years because it teaches you discipline, it teaches you teamwork, and teaches all these things. Those guys I respect more than anything now that they served our country. The other thing that did not exist at that time were people who got jobs right out of high school. So I remember like Marty Miller, who was a year behind me. Marty went right into because his dad had an auto shop and they started repairing things. And I remember people who went right into the workforce. He got married right out of high school and started working. That wasn't really accepted then.
Yeah, or here we are in the Midwest. I mean, farmers. I mean, we've got some farmers here that are family
Yep.
farmers. That's kind of
But farming's different because now
what you
today to
do.
be a successful farmer, I mean, these guys are getting 4-year degrees from Purdue in ag
Absolutely.
management. You have to understand computer technology and weather and all that kind of stuff. Now, you want to ask why.
But that's the thing, though. They go that route. Ag is a big thing. Ag
is.
was a big thing at Hamilton Heights. Ag is a big thing at Hamilton
Southeastern.
But not for those kids who are doing
The college, the core.
I don't want to use the term blue collar jobs, but you know what
Yeah.
like our kids.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. So when I was first approached about running for school board, I have a feeling that I have to give back to our community. Part of that is, and I've said this, our boys are 10-year, all three of our kids, not just our boys, all three of our kids are 10-year 4-H members. Both boys are Eagle Scouts. They've been involved in church. They've been involved in all sorts of activities in this area. I told both boys, you got 10 years out of 4-H, when are you going to start giving back? If you got 10 years out, you need to give at least 10 years back. I feel that way about our school system. Now, both of our boys graduated from HSE. We pulled Julianne out of HSE schools after 7th grade because we did not feel it was safe for her mentally. We
and
pulled
I tell
her
you
out.
what, after that story you told me yesterday.
Well, and yeah, there's a lawsuit
Holy
going on
cow.
right now that I'm sure they'll talk about the school board tonight. But let me keep on this. Why I'm running. Number one is I feel like I need to be involved in the local community. This community has been incredible for us to raise a family here. We chose to live in Wayne Township. We chose to raise our kids around animals. We chose to raise our kids going to HSE schools. We chose not to move to Carmel, not to move to Noblesville, but we chose this area, bought this piece of property, live in this house because of that school system, and I want to give back. Now, what I'm motivated by, when I said that my opponent is, or the incumbent is a professional educator, and I told her we agree probably on 90% of the things. Now, she's an educator, but the school corporation is are you ready? $300 million corporation. It has over 2,500 employees. It needs a school board of trustees that actually have business acumen, have experience. And some of my greatest professional experience is advising senior leaders, CEOs, on their businesses and working on strategic planning, working on change management, working on growth management, putting measurement tools in place so that we can evaluate the success. And immediately people online were saying, our kids are not a factory. They're not a product. I get that. But we have, somebody says we need educators on the school board.
But if we have people that have those skills, why are we not
Well,
accessing
my opponent
them?
is she is an education professional. I think we employ over 2,500 of them. You need business professionals on the board. And the board votes as one. The board, there are 7 people on the board. They are there for governance. And the board, like when Sylvia was telling me all the things that she was involved with on the board, I'm not going to be involved in those things. This superintendent only has 3 committees. I'm not going to sit on a curriculum committee. I don't think I should be on a curriculum committee.
I don't either.
I think we need to have
I think that
educators.
is probably not your
No,
best.
it's not. But it's like, but this school system hasn't even touched raising money for corporate partnerships, sponsorships, things of that nature for new facilities and advertising, things of that nature. That's something I can
As
lend.
fast as this school system is growing,
Oh, it's growing.
Ridiculous.
So I can help in growth management. I can help in strategic planning. But the core issues to us, number one, because of our kids being 2 on the autism spectrum and 1 that had some severe anxiety and depression and thoughts of self-harm, all that kind of stuff during her school years, I care, number one, about mental health for kids. Not only that they have access and that people can, that every kid, and this is a conversation I had with one of the people online, the LGBTQIA kids are not the only ones who get bullied. They're not the only ones who have teenage anxiety. They're not the only ones who are facing depression. They're not the only ones. Every kid in high school
Yeah,
and
I
junior
feel
high
like
has
that
anxiety and things of that nature.
they get the spotlight, and then everybody else
forgotten
falls
about.
to the wayside.
Now, the second thing I care about
Everybody has
is
it.
career pathways and transitions. So our kids are different. Thank God, Mr. Yance at HSE High School, who was the FFA teacher there, taught welding. And as an elective, Jay Daniel went and took the welding class and found his career, found his identity, found his purpose. I mean, like Jay Daniel found his purpose in life when he took that welding class. Now, what's amazing to me about...
And he's employed with very like-minded people.
Yeah. And he went to Ivy Tech.
my
He got his
gosh.
certifications, and he's employable. But what I was going to tell you is, in order for us to have career technical education and career pathways, I personally hope that every single high school student at Fishers High School in HSE has an opportunity for 40 hours of job shadowing, of apprenticeship. So if you want to be a doctor, go over to Riverview Hospital, join the exploring group over there, see what it's like.
Well, that's what Julianne all her life wanted to be in veterinary medicine. That's what she wanted to do. That's all she talked about when she was little. She took veterinary medicine 4-H class, all 10 years. So she shadowed our vet, Vicky Barker.
Hagerman, sorry.
Hagerman, yeah. It used to be Barker. She shadowed her for one day, and she was so excited. They let her in on everything. She came home and she said, "Mom, that's not for me."
Okay, every kid needs to do this. Now, my whole point is that when so much pressure has been put on these students to perform, to graduate with a certain degree, a
and then know exactly what they're going to do.
And the problem is, then they go to college and then they change majors 3 or 4 times because they don't know what they want to do. I think it's not only the duty of the school to get them to graduate, but to help them find that purpose. Because in Jay Daniels' world, he found his purpose. He knew what he wanted to do at that point. And we were blessed in the fact that he went to Ivy Tech and then he became employable. Now, what's amazing for me is for a career exploratory opportunities.
Especially for a kid who was going to be a physicist.
Yes. Well, and Abraham from our church just finished the ABC program. So they also, HSE does a wonderful job now of kids who want to be in the trades. And these local companies are recruiting them to come work for them. So the Gaylord, they did a signing day for the people who are joining Gaylord. They did a signing day for different people. And Abraham from our church went through that program. And I see his photo. He signed with a company who's ready to employ him. That's an incredible career, pathway kind of an opportunity. Now, what I was going to say, though, is in order for that to happen, you have to engage the local business community. So when Jay Daniel took welding, okay, and Mr. Yance is there, teaches him welding. He learns how to weld. Sometime later, I talked to Mark Dodd. I mentioned Mark earlier in the podcast. He's the one who did all the pool down there. He had a company called Tyler Trust that he sold. He had Dodd Technology. I've come to find out, guess who bought all those welders at HSE High School? It wasn't the school.
It was Mark.
Mark Dodd. Because Mark Dodd needed to employ aluminum TIG welders, and he knew if I pay for the welders at the high school, eventually some of those welders will come and be here locally so I can hire them. That is a beautiful model of how we need to engage local communities. So, there's one thing I'm good at, and it's building new relationships. And this superintendent that we've hired is going to need a relationship with every single business owner in this region so that our students who want to go on into a career can have those relationships. So do I think I can add value to the board? I do. I think we have enough educators that we pay for. You don't need educators on the school board. You need business professionals with business acumen, with marketing acumen, strategic planning, governance.
I'm just so happy
that's why I'm volunteering to run
I'm
for
so
school
happy
board.
that the trades are not going to be looked down on as
no, Mike Rowe changed it all.
They can't go to.
They're
not going to go to college. Yeah, but you know what? What they are doing. I'm sorry. I can do without a Latin teacher. I can do without an English teacher. I cannot do without a plumber. I cannot do without a mechanic to fix my car.
Kids, these students who have an interest in the trades, they can be, I want to build houses. I want to be a plumber. I want to be an electrician. I want to go in the military. They can get that vision while they're in high school from inspiring teachers and from outside professionals who are coming and giving these opportunities. You and I needed to hear it from Mike Rowe when Mike Rowe said we're sending kids to colleges they can't afford to prepare for careers that no longer exist. Meanwhile, we're graduating people who have a degree in philosophy or European history, and they're working at Starbucks with $100,000 college debt. While trade skills are employable from day one. And there are a lot of people who own their own welding business, own their own company. And you and I needed to hear that more than the kids, because parents are the ones who need to go, oh, wait. Because you and I both went to grad school. We're like, oh, well, I just assume that our kids are going to be going to college. They have to.
Yeah, we were both very collegiate. That's what we expected of our kids. And then when they said, that's not what we want to do.
Our kids
It took time. But it took time for us to accept the fact that our kids did not want to or need to go. Now, J. Daniel did go to college, but I mean, they weren't on a collegiate track. And that's okay.
Now I'm going to tell you,
to have that vision for your life. In fact, it's fantastic.
And for kids who want to be doctors, lawyers, teachers, yes, go to college. I'm not discouraging you going to a 4-year university. I'm not discouraging.
Everybody doesn't need to do the same track.
But our kids both saw how I work 24/7, and they're like, I don't want that. I want to go work with my hands, and I want to be able to get off at 5 or 6 and go.
And I want to do what I love.
Yeah. So
And you do what you love, but it's not what they love, and that's okay.
So have you seen the advertisements that we put together? It says Jon Stewart for HSC
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen this?
I'm sure people have probably stopped listening that don't live here.
I know, but if you look at that picture, do I look Republican or Democrat? What do I look like?
You look like John.
Okay, there you go. It says John supports promoting student mental health. We talked about that. John supports vocational training and career readiness. John supports strong governance. You like that word? And also, I support parental rights in education. And I will tell you, one of the books that really made me want to run for office was this, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, the research about how technology and cell phones and social media have impacted our kids. But it also talks about how we have overprotected our kids from failure. And
I'm guilty of that.
We both are guilty of this.
Because I didn't know any better.
Well, but we have eliminated the opportunity for kids to walk to school or ride their bikes to school. Now, we've also overlooked the fact...
I think I would still be scared as a parent to let them do certain things,
But that produces independence. That produces...
I know.
And the book advocates for creating safe routes to school. So there's a bunch of cars lined up to drop people off in junior high. There's a neighborhood right behind it. What if you had a safe route where you could drop your kid off in the neighborhood with their bike and they could ride with their friends? They can meet up with their friends right there. It teaches independence. There are a lot of things that we've done. We've also eliminated...
Gen X kid, I should know that. I should know better.
But we overprotect our kids, and
because it was shoved down our throat.
But we overprotect our kids because something's going to happen to them, and
the world is ugly.
The school advocates, or the book advocates for cell phone free schools. I'm a huge proponent of this, eliminating the cell phones from the school. And there's data and there's research.
The cell phone to call kids at school? Our parents, yeah. Parents are mad if they take the cell phone away at school because they can't get a hold of their kid.
I had a post about this online, and one of the parents, loving parent, person we know, said, "Oh, but what in case of an emergency? I need to get a hold of my kid." Well, the problem is,
go to the office.
If there is a school shooting,
I did.
But if there is a school shooting or some sort of incident, the last thing your kid should be doing is talking to the parent who's not there. They need to be listening to the teacher that's in the classroom, taking directions and trying to protect the life of that kid. Research shows it's better for the kid not to have a cell phone in that situation. Now, I'll tell you, Philmont Scout Ranch. So one of the complaints at Philmont Scout Ranch are kids who have satellite phones. So let's say a Philmont Scout Ranch trek.
when they're doing their trek.
Yes, and so a trek is like an 8-day trek, right? It's designed on day 3 that your kid's about to have a meltdown. Because day 3,
kid did.
One of them did.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that day 3 on a typical trek, that's when the ranger disappears. So this young person who's helping them and showing them how to read a map and go out in the wilderness, they wake up on day 3, that guy's gone or that lady's gone. And then they have to figure it out. Well, the parents are taught, the adult leaders that go along are taught, let the kids lead. Let the youth lead. When they come and ask you for assistance or help, you just kind of look and go, wow, have you seen the bark on this tree? This aspen is really amazing. Like you talk about something else. But the big thing is when you survive the 8 days together, you cross under a sign that says, we did it. We, talking about the patrol did it together, the group did it, the crew did it together. But on day 3, when you are at your melting point, this kid's left, you're in the middle, you're almost out of water, you're almost out of food, and it's built to produce endurance and drive and determination and all these things, and for people to build self-esteem by overcoming the obstacles. If a kid has a cell phone or a satellite phone at that point and texts their mom, I'm dying.
What can the mom do?
The mother in Indiana then...
is getting on a plane and going
No, the mother in Indiana is contacting local police. The local police are contacting Philmont Scout Ranch, says this kid's dying, and they have to respond. Meanwhile, that's overprotecting your kid. Now, I believe in parental access. Now, I think, and vote for me or don't, the school is not responsible for your child growing up. The school is not responsible for your kid being employable. The school is not responsible for the character of your child. You as a parent are responsible.
Just like the church is not responsible.
Right. I'm responsible for the spiritual development of my kids. Now, I choose which church to go to. I choose which youth leaders are going to pour in their life. Same thing at school. I need to know what the curriculum is. Now, we had just the only time that we ever really had a curriculum issue was over sex education. One of our kids was not ready for sex education when it was time.
It wasn't
we pulled
what
him
they
out.
Were teaching. It was that
our kid wasn't ready for it at that time.
We didn't pull him out, but he wanted to be pulled out because he was terrified.
He went to that 1 week. He went to the guidance counselor that period of time. What I'm going to tell you though is
we made him listen to part of it.
Have the right to have access to what the curriculum is and what their kids are going through. We advocated for our special needs kids because they needed special, they learn differently. And so we had IEPs in place with them. 504s, I think they were, whatever we called them.
Yeah.
But we had those in place. We
Jules
advocated
had a 504,
for
the others
we
had.
advocated for our kids, and I think a parent should do that. But I also think there's a fine line from being a helicopter parent that's over, like goes with your
They
parent
don't
all the
call
time.
them that now.
No, the new thing is bulldozer.
Yeah.
Parents who go and clear all the obstacles away from their kids so they won't fail, that's hurting your kids. Now, there's a line here.
Going to job interviews.
No, that
with
was the
your
stat.
kid.
So college graduates, we just
Lord.
saw this stat that 20% of recent college graduates took their parent to their interview. 20% took their parent to their first job interview. We have failed as parents if that's the case.
And Julianne, you ask her, and I'm telling you, if you want somebody with connections, you want John Stewart. So he says to her, she's looking for a new job because she's going back to school and stuff. And so she's trying to find something not so busy as where she was at Chick-fil-A. And so he says, let me help you. Let me help you. And she said, nope.
Nope, she's doing it on her own.
I'm doing it on my own. If I don't get it on my own, then I don't want it, which is very surprising for that kid, number one. Number two, thank goodness that
She wants that. Yeah.
She wants that. But, you said to me even today, why does she not want me to help her? Because
taking
we've taught her
responsibility.
the right thing, babe.
Yep, she has. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. I just want to tell you that, if you do live in Hamilton County, I want your Hamilton Southeast. I need your vote. If you don't, let's become friends again in
Wayne
November.
Township.
Yeah, no, not just Wayne Township. Anywhere in Hamilton Southeastern, everybody votes for me.
But
Anybody in
you are
Fishers.
the candidate.
Yes, I'm
in
the candidate in
Wayne
Wayne Township. And if I win, it'll be great. I get 4 years on the school board. If I lose, I can still support the school system in other ways. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to close this. This little article says, why run for school board?
Oh, my.
Okay. It says, here are some reasons to serve on your local school board. And you can agree with me or not. It says, you want to share your time and talents. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, okay.
It says, you can represent different groups in the community. I represent the Pacific Islander community.
I don't.
It says, you can help
exactly
create
right.
stronger ties between the school board and other stakeholders. I mentioned businesses. That's a great
Yeah.
thing because I got.
What do you call it? Vendors?
Vendors, stakeholders, whatever.
Yeah.
They use stakeholders. You have a personal interest in preserving and improving the quality of your school system. I do have a personal interest. We live here. Schools are what make this area great. I want to continue to make the school absolutely fantastic. You can influence the district budget. You can help influence the fiscal health of the district and where voter taxpayer money is spent. With a
Well, that's the
$300 million
thing.
budget, yes, mental health, career pathways.
Even if we don't have kids in the school right now, we're still paying taxes. I want it to
and
go
you
to
believe
something
in
I
quality
believe in.
public education for current and future students. We have an incredible school system. We have incredible teachers. We do have incredible teachers that I want to support. We also, all these COVID kids, what's funny about this district is
the
kids that are,
COVID kids.
no, but the kids who have caught up are the ones whose parents paid for them to have tutoring. The parents who took responsibility and realized their kid needed extra support
But
had the
not every
resources.
parent can
not
pay
every
for
parent can,
tutoring.
but then parental involvement is what I care about the most. You can't just drop your kid off and hope for somebody to raise them well.
Yeah.
It takes a village. No, it takes a parent. And I think it takes two parents fully engaged and grandparents a lot of times. But it takes, they're your kid. You're responsible for them. And there's a school shooting, let's talk to the parents.
Well, that's
when there's
become
kids-
evident
but,
of late.
But also in Fishers, we've got homes that are 10, 12,000, 14,000 square feet, and a parent is living 6,000 square feet away from their kid. And they don't know what's going on in that room. They don't know what the kid's doing. So you are a parent. Parent up. Says you believe in quality public education.
That doesn't mean that you have your nose in every single bit of their business. You're not teaching them to be independent.
Okay, we're closing here. It says school board members should be effective communicators and good listeners. Now, I do believe in the communication, and I do believe in listening to different views than my own. And
Just because you're right doesn't mean. Just because you think you're right doesn't mean that that's the only way to do
that's
it.
correct. It says there's a large time commitment. It says some reasons why you might not want to run. There's a large time commitment. I talked about this. We
Yikes.
had Sylvia come over. She told us how much time she spent. I've talked to other board members.
That's the one thing that scares me.
It says, once you become a board member, you may hear from your constituents, particularly during times when contentious issues being discussed in the district. To insulate board members, there is a chain of command that is typically followed. For example, the school board does not get generally involved in parent-teacher or parent-administrator issues. That's good. I will tell you, Terry Toll, who's also running alongside me,
yeah.
Terry, his kids are in scouts and stuff like that, and he's an awesome guy. He told me, because he was on the school board before, he said, John, if you want to disappoint one woman, get married. He said, if you want to disappoint 20,000 women, get on the school board. Because evidently, he said, everything you do, some mom is mad about. And it says, if you have children in school, you may fear that teachers, for whatever reason, may take things out on them. That's highly unusual. Of course, there are other reasons why you should not run for school board. Personal vendettas, getting back at school administrators. I'm free of all that. Or using your position as a school board as a stepping stone for higher office.
Lord knows you're not doing anything else. I draw the line at school board.
School board is nonpartisan, community involvement. I have no desire to run for higher office. So it says, but the benefits of being a school board far outweigh the negatives. So here we go. We are going to be campaigning between now and November, and I appreciate your support. So, Suzanne, anything you want to say about your love of politics?
I hate politics. I think they're awful.
There you go. Are you going to walk in the parade with me?
I am not.
Are you going to be at the parade?
If it's not raining.
Okay, there you go. So my wife supports me as long as it's not raining and it's not too hot.
This was not funny at all.
I'm sorry. I thought it was fun because I like politics. Okay, join us on the next episode of the Marry Your Best Friend podcast.
What's our topic? It better be more fun than this one.
Oh, it'll be more fun. One of us gets sun poisoning. We're going to talk about summer, all the fun summer activities and that we like to do, and memories from summer, laying by the pool, and when I first met you in Hawaii, and the wonderful case of sun poisoning that continues today.